Welcome back to the Attacking 3 podcast. Today with a special guest as well. We are joined by Just Weza on Twitter. Make sure you follow him. As we go into that video about the transfer business that went down today and is about to go down in maybe the following hours. It is a really eventful day today as we had a big transfer pulled in from Dortmund. It's Christian Pulisic coming, not now, just in the next summer because he's loaned out back to Dortmund, obviously. And then we have lots to talk about. Maybe Fabregas leaving, maybe Cahill leaving the club. We have, many topics. Some transfers that cooled down completely. I'm very excited to talk about it. It is Jimmy with us. It is Yannick with us. It is Alexis with us. On that note, we jump straight into the discussion with one question. All right, we're here, we're there. Jimmy's dancing around because he's so excited. But I start with Alexis, as he's our guest today. Christian Pulisic to Chelsea for a lot of money. What are your first thoughts about that one?
Oh, when you say a lot of money in this current market, I don't think it's a lot of money for a young prospect. My issue with the whole situation is once again, we're stabbing our own in the back. I don't think he's much better than Hudson-Odoi. It's just he's had a platform where I don't think he's been incredibly successful. He's been good enough. He's had a whole machine of the American market pushing him, showing what he's about. But with us, it is we're willing to spend money on someone and call him our prospect. But our own, who Bayern Munich, Juventus, Real Madrid, everyone's scouting him and they want him. If he becomes a free agent tomorrow, there'll be a bidding war for his wages. We're turning away once again. And for someone where there's no guarantee what we're going to get back, it's a long-term project we're investing in. But the money side of it is fine. I don't think 56 million or 58 is that bad.
What are your thoughts, Yannick, on that one? Because we had our little discussions on Twitter today. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'd echo Alexis's sentiments, firstly, about the transfer fee. I mean, you've probably heard the circulation, what people have been saying with Pulisic. When you purchase Pulisic, you're getting far more than a player. You're getting Captain America himself. He's 20 years old. He's captain of the USA side. Many Americans, if they have a USA national team's top, guess whose name's on the back. Same kind of fan base buying just Dortmund shirts for the hell of it because the golden boy, the jewel in the crown, plays for Dortmund. That's now Chelsea, which has a big following in America anyway. So it's a superb PR move. And the more cynical of Chelsea fans would probably say this is the reason why we've made this purchase. But without being too negative as well, we will expand on Hudson-Odoi, and Alexis made some excellent points on him. I think Pulisic's been scouted for a while, and obviously to make the comparison of Callum Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic is almost like if we're saying, imagine everyone thinks Hazard's better than Neymar, skill-wise, or he had a better World Cup. Clubs are always going to be more inclined to buy Neymar because of the commercial viability. Pulisic's absolutely, Hudson-Odoi doesn't even start games. That's our fault. But this is just, in terms of a business move. Yeah. So I digress a little bit, but it's not a big fee at all. Even if he hasn't got that much left on his contract. Look at, Fred for only a few million, 5 million cheaper, and he's played in the Ukrainian league and hasn't gone to the team, but what you're getting with Pulisic. We've seen great stints of ability. I imagine Jimmy shares the same opinions of me, and the boys. But do you want to add anything to that, Jimmy?
I think, well, you're both right in those respects with the transfer fee.
But we're wrong.
No. The only thing that I'd add is what really does worry me is his consistency issues, because being in Austria, there are a lot of people that support Dortmund. So, of course, first things first, you get messages today, hey, I saw you bought Pulisic. Fuck off. He's your problem now. That kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Like, where you think... Well, actually, we should be happy, or they should be gutted. But, a lot of them are like, yeah, no problem. Of course, they've got Sancho. But it's the problem is the guy can do everything until the byline, or when it comes to pulling the trigger, just this end product is his problem. And who does that remember or remind us of? William. It is
Another one.
case,
Another one.
And that is the problem where I say I'm worried about that. But as already tweeted today, undoubtedly, I'm going to support him. He's a Chelsea boy now. We all will support him. We'll get behind him and cheer him on. I really hope that Sarri can work his magic on him and just give him some consistency and develop him as a player, because he does have a high ceiling. I'm not going to argue that. It's just really that goal tally for a right winger. We more or less start where we left off. And that's the thing that worries me, because we wanted one that, even if it's his first season like Nicolas Pepe, he's scoring for fun. We think, who knows if he'll do it next season, but he's shown he can do that. Pulisic in, 4 years nearly now, 3 years, hasn't done that once. And that is problematic.
Can I just pick up one quick thing on that? I'm of the same train of thought generally, but one of those football statistic Twitter pages commented with a graph on my me voicing this concern, and they showed an XG graph, and he's always outperforming his XG, even with these really low numbers, which insinuates to me that for a team, I tweeted about this as well, Chelsea, who create loads of chances, the same amount of chances as Manchester City this season, yet converting nowhere near the same amount of goals. If there's someone who exceeds the XG, who's a young and pacey player, you'd almost say like Chelsea works with pace on the break. Even if when we're playing Sarri ball, we're always great as counter-attacks. So if you've got a kid who's amazing, he carries the ball really well, like Willian is fast, but he is outperforming his XG as opposed to what Willian's doing. In fact, he's doing the opposite, Willian. Then maybe it's a match.
Yeah, but you know what, guys? If you think about it, if he's coming in to be a replacement for Willian, we'll all take that. Because we think he can develop in the long run and become a better player. Yeah. But if he's coming in as a replacement for Hazard, then the board are playing with us and playing with emotions they shouldn't be playing right now.
That's a hot take, man.
Well, for me, I was very opposed to that transfer initially, and I think today I take this as the last chance to slag off the board, and not really Christian Pulisic, because it's not his fault. But I want to give him a fair crack of the whip. I want to give him a fair chance. So it is the last time I will ever rage about that one. But I think it doesn't make sense, this whole transfer. All right, I'm with you. Christian Pulisic, or the whole package you get, the whole bundle of
Captain America, we're calling him.
Yeah, Captain America, perfect.
That is fine for 58 million. I'm all right with that, but it doesn't make sense from a point of view. We lack goals. Christian Pulisic hardly ever scores. I see the XGs and all that, but I'm not convinced. He has played so many. Yeah, but many seasons in Germany and never really. What is his best goal tally? 7 goals a season, 6 goals a season. Not really for his position. It's not a good stat. Then secondly, the way Dortmund plays is not really the way Chelsea plays, and for me, in my opinion, he's technically limited. And what he can do is he's pacey and he can sprint into spaces, but there is hardly any spaces with Chelsea. Let's look at the Palace game on the the last game we've played. Very hard to break down a team that is so deep, and all the other teams are doing it again against us. Like only the top 6 teams are really up for it and play one-on-one against us and give us that spaces a player like Pulisic needs. So I'm not really on the opinion that he is suited to a style of play. And then he's not experienced enough maybe or not big of a character enough to go into the Premier League and hit the ground running from the first day. I'm not expecting that from him. And he has time to develop, but he's not a short-term solution, maybe a long-term solution, but I'm not even convinced with that.
Andy coming out hard on Captain America.
And I add one thing to that, because Andy says that he's not sure whether he fits into our system, the way we play. I agree with you there, because it has been said that he was a long-time target of us. So we already wanted him last season when we didn't even yet. So more or less, I mean, Sarri, they've got the right coach with Sarri because he'll just take it. Okay, give him to me. I'll try and do whatever I can.
Yeah, he's got
with
quality.
Morata.
Yeah.
And one point I've missed. Sorry,
That
one
is
point I've
that.
missed. He's right-footed, and when we talked about wingers,
Yeah, you wanna
we're always
invert
saying
them.
want the right winger
Invert.
who's scoring with his left foot.
Yeah.
And
Khan only had a right foot, and he worked pretty well in Sarri ball. So I get that. I agree with you. I'd rather have a left footer myself, but it can work. But the problem is, Calicon has an end product. Pulisic doesn't. Calicon is, of course, 30 years old or something like that. He has more experience. But this is a board signing, not a Sarri signing, and that is the worrying thing.
If you think about it, realistically speaking, Callahan was more tactically developed. And what does Sarri always talk about? It needs to be tactically developed. You can't have
defensive
58.
phase.
Yeah, the defensive phase. Is Pulisic even defensively
works
that
hard.
solid?
He works hard. Yeah, that is one of his aspects of his game that every Dortmund fan says that you get with him. He is an extremely.
We've got another Willian, haven't we? We actually got another.
Wait. Willian has always been said he's a hard worker, but then half of the game he jogs on like a prick. But
And also his Willian's
really
shoulders
does
will
do that.
drop. Willian
You
will
what?
put his if Willian gets fouled, he'll put his arms up and his shoulders will drop.
Yeah,
You won't get that with
doesn't
Pulisic.
do that. He
Yeah.
really gets into it. That I have to say.
Yeah, another thing to I agree with all those sentiments generally, but one thing is I think Dortmund have done a pressing game at times, and also one thing that with his pace he will be able to press, and he's going to be this kid who's had loads of first team experience, loads of experience in the Champions League. He's got the weight of the fucking United States in his shoulder. So you talk about pressure. I think at 20 years old, he's got this kid who went to Germany, to this German academy, learned Germany. He learned Germany. He learned German. He was in a different culture. He's got the weight of his own nation on his shoulders, and now he's gone to one of the biggest clubs in Europe.
He bottled it when he had. Yeah, he did. The United States weren't qualified for the World Cup, and it was more or less. It wasn't his fault, but
He's a
in
19-year-old
the imagination
kid.
of American people, it was his fault.
You can't imagine him carrying a whole nation at that young age.
At a teenager, yeah, and it's not like he's come from South America or Barcelona's academy. I'm digressing slightly because what I'm alluding to is he's not just some random kid who's come up from our academy who's been like wrapped in cotton wool. This kid's been all over the gaff. He's had all these experiences, loads of first team experience, and he's got a lot. He's dealt with a lot of pressure, and he's just turned fucking 20, and he's like, okay, I want to do this shit. And because he's pacey and he can carry the ball well, I think he will work with the pressing system and stuff. I mean, you're right. It is a long-term Chelsea target, and the board have identified him. Sarri likes coaching talented players. He'll look at this and be like, "Okay, I can do something with this." I mean, he's a tactical Italian manager, and inherently, from being one, he's gonna love these older. He's got, everyone says he's completely different to Conte, but if you look closely, there's a lot of similarities, in terms of how they work with players and their ethos and stuff, and he loves Pedro for his effort and his pressing game and stuff. And if we can get a pacey young lad who just shoulders won't drop ever, and he'll run at people and he will just close the space, like constantly try and close to get possession back. Even if he's just running at a player that makes him panic, and then and Golo turns over the possession because that's what is his game. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it could work. We've all as reactive Chelsea fans, we've all got the absolute right to be like, we wanted a Fekir, we wanted Torgan back. Look at the numbers they post. Look at the how they're utilised all over the pitch, and we've got like more of a dedicated right side forward who doesn't score goals. You look at that face value and you think, fuck. But you've also got to think Chelsea have scouted good players before, and we've bought your Salahs, your Hazards, your De Bruyne's in from looking at them for a while, and you just got to trust him, really. I mean, even bloody Bakayoko looks like he could actually be a good player, at times.
I think you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
If you think about it, as a club, we're so like reluctant to spend the big money since Torres that we'll go and like throw 32 million here, 30 here, and now 50, 40 is becoming the new benchmark.
Yeah,
and we're getting getting players that aren't going to push the needle. They're just going to be there to be squad players, or just like they'll start, but they're not going to have an impact directly.
Yeah.
And in the long run, we need to change that. Otherwise, we're going to be a top 4 club. and we won't be the top club anymore.
Let's not forget as well, like, everyone wanted Pulisic. Like, he's not just someone that's been plucked out of the ether and we've looked at his numbers all of a sudden and been like, they're pretty trash. Like, you know, Liverpool wanted him, like, big clubs around Europe. Yeah. Big clubs around Europe. When he was 18 years old, he was, you know, had his chest out and he was putting in performances for Dortmund. Like, look at me, I'm a wonder kid. And granted, he didn't post these numbers, but, you know, I remember watching him, chatting to my mates, going, "Oh, got this American kiddie at Dortmund. He's fucking tearing ass." Do you know what I mean? I just watched him like do this like game, and he looks amazing. And he's like, "Come from America, you know. Apparently they do have good players."
America, please.
America, and you know, and if you said to me, "Oh yeah, he'll play for a couple more years, and then he'll come to Chelsea," to me, if you told me that back then, I'd be like, "Yes, please," you know. So.
Where does he play? Because that's the obvious question for me. I mean, for me, at this moment in time, it looks like he's going to be a right winger to replace either Willian or Pedro in our system. Hazard will go left, and maybe we will bring in another striker or a new striker in summer, hopefully. And then it is our attacking three sorted. But maybe could he be, if Hazard stays in the middle, the player who plays on the left rather, because he has the right foot to cut in? Jimmy, what do you think about that idea?
No, I think the only position he's really suited for in our system is right wing. Because left wing, I mean, in theory, he could play there, but he hasn't played that many games there. I had a look on Transfer Market. He's been nearly exclusively always playing on the right. He can play down the middle in more of a, you know, behind the striker kind of role, but we don't play that. So
in the whole,
So in theory, he's even been the playmaker at one point, but also that we don't use. So he can only play on the right wing. The question is, because I'll shoot that right back at you three. When Sarri said yesterday, we need another winger, and as Pulisic will be for the right wing, one would expect, and please do still finish Andy's question then, but just to hang this in there, will we get another winger? Because Sarri did say, well, we need a winger, you know, because we have injuries and we don't need a striker, we need one winger. Can't have been speaking of Pulisic. That wouldn't make any sense. So you'd expect that the club will be looking into signing another attacking player. Will that happen? Will we really be so full of joy that we sign two attacking players in the January transfer window?
It's been 3.5 years, and now we get two.
Slam dunk two. I'll let Alexis give his opinion on what he thinks of the transfer window, but just to pick up on what Andy's original question, I think right-footed's fine. Everyone wants inverted winners to cut in and shoot, but I actually think for Sarri, because we overload the left-hand side so much, and we want to make it the Eden Hazard show, hoping he'll stay as well. So if we're going to carry on that sort of Sarri ball style, overloading the side, having a right-footer putting crosses in and stuff with his right foot might serve the system and the general ethos better. I believe he'll be the better on the right wing. Like you said, Jimmy, we don't play anyone in the sort of hole behind. So, you know, he might do what the wingers do if he does play with Hazard, swap over, and then he can cut in. But they'll always probably swap back to their native starting points. But, you know, all top teams rotate the wingers to fuck with the opponent, don't they? So there might be like a little element of that. But he'll be a right winger. But I could not comment on an additional right winger signing. So Alexis, you can take that one, man.
For me, I'm thinking what players would they actually be looking at? And in recent weeks, we've been linked with Pepe, which I think would be a very expensive one, but they won't let him go now. And then there's Chucky Lozano, which is a personal favorite of mine. He'd be perfect on that left wing, and he can play right wing. He has a goal threat. He puts numbers on the board. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I look at a player, sometimes I go, he has the it factor. Chucky Lozano looks like one of those players where big occasions, he will step up. And like even against Germany at the World Cup, like it had to be him when he scored that goal and he became the poster boy basically for Mexico. They love it. I've got a Mexican friend for him. He says, forget Vela, forget Hernandez. Lozano is the future.
How old is he?
He's 21, 22.
Yeah.
It looks like something our board would do. Long-term resale value.
Yeah.
The Mexican crowd, like the Mexican people buying T-shirts. So once again, like we're Financial FC before Chelsea FC.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Like we don't focus on success. We just focus on bringing back the money, and that's kind of boring.
Hold
but
on,
it's
that's
not,
unfair. That's unfair.
that,
We've been
that's not
dedicated to
unfair.
winning trophy. We've been dedicated to winning trophies
Yeah,
for the last
but
15
that's
years.
not
right. In last years, it's been
Yeah.
more about the financial revenue because
Yeah.
we want to get independent from our brand.
Yeah, that's true. Austerity FC,
Sorry,
but that's like 2 years
Yeah.
though.
But I like Lozano, and I like the way he scored against Germany. We hate Germans here, just in Austria. No,
That's statements by the attacking two, and not the attacking three.
Yeah, it's because we're Austrian on here,
Yeah,
Jimmy
yeah,
and
yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
But I'm worried because he's also a right footer. Would he be suited? And he's also a left winger rather than a right winger. But yeah, I like the name of Lozano. If he's the second signing in a winter transfer window where we bring two wingers in, I can't really be raging on that one.
Yeah, young, fresh, and exciting.
It sounds beyond ambitious, really, doesn't it? It's bringing someone in.
That's why I honestly think that won't happen, though. Yeah. Lausanne, it sounds too good to be true, but Fekir would make more sense for the simple reason that he can play anywhere. He can play as a centre forward, he can play as that left centre mid. I mean, that's
70 million though.
Well, I don't think
he's in the Champions League.
Do you really think he cost 70 mil if he was already going for like 56 in the summer? Why would he now cost more? He's got less on his contract.
No, I don't think he
rated as much at Lyon now because they've got, of course, these big new stars coming in.
That's true, but also January is always an inflated fee. January, I know you're saying 6 months, but just inherently because it's January, it would be the same as the summer, if not more, due to complications. And also, he's in the Lyon. They've been the way they took 4 points off City in the Champions League, and it just looks good for them. And he is an influential player. They can do something in the Champions League, go quite deep, like further than they thought maybe. There's just a few things, like you say. He's like a sort of Galactico utility player, isn't he? He's not like a Eric Dyer. I can play centre back, defensive midfield. I can do what you want, mate. He's like a sort of like creative Galactico utility player where he's like he can play false 9, he can play make, he can play in the hold, he can play on the front three, you can do whatever you want, and he's big game player and whatever. He's a great player, but again, he's another player that everyone wanted, like Pulisic, but more of the one that, like Alexis said, put numbers on the board,
But he has just 1.5 years of his contract left, Fekir, and is Leon wanting to let it go to the last season of his contract? Maybe not, and he will be not as pricey as you said then.
And if you think about it, guys, we could have a transfer ban, and the club know that. So if they start spending money all of a sudden on big players like Fekir, it's all but certain we're getting the ban.
Yeah, well, I tweeted about this about Pulisic. I said this just screams ban because it's almost like we might get it before the summer, and because we've done this, we're like, look, we don't want him now. Just let us own him now. You can have him back. So technically, he's our player. So we're not signing anyone in the summer. Do you know what I mean? It looks like that's the case. Like, oh, okay, Pulisic's arrived. Chelsea fans are all happy. It feels like a new signing. But you've got a ban. Well, it doesn't matter. It feels like the fans are getting a new player because we just did the signature in Jan or whatever.
Yeah, but Jan. It was Dortmund said themselves they don't want to give him away in the summer, in the winter because they want that cover for Sancho.
Oh yeah, they're
actually pushing for the
title challenge.
So I don't think it's what maybe I don't
Could it be
want
both?
to say it has anything got to do with it, but I think it's more with Dortmund not wanting to sell. That's why. They said that if we would have got him immediately, it would have cost like 80 mil, something like that, which is ridiculous. That's ludicrous.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think that is down to Dortmund, not Chelsea, maybe getting a ban. But
you wouldn't want to lose a major piece of cover on an not unlikely title challenge. Like if they were sitting comfortably in third, knew they were going to get Champions League, but knew they weren't going to win the title, like there was no real chance. They could try and flog him now for a lot more money. So you're definitely right in that. But it can be both. Do you know what I mean? It's certainly cover for Chelsea if we get an impending ban.
No, of course.
But if we got an impending ban, I mean, we'll talk about it later, Callum. But it's these Bayern rumors should fuck off by now if that was true. But without trying to take a negative turn, there's a lot of people that are talking about how this ban could be highly likely. Like people close to the club are sort of saying, are not like just brushing off anymore. They're like, well, you know, we're being quite lucid to the concept of it maybe happening. So.
Well, yeah, that's another talking point though, because on the other hand, it looks like we are going to have that ban on us, and maybe it will last for 2 years. And that's why we are making ludicrous signings, or at least we look like doing them. On the other hand, there's a lot of people we are like we have to talk about because they are rumored to go out of the club, and that wouldn't make sense that we. Well, at least players like Fabregas, who maybe have 1 or 2 years left on a very good level, that we will just. It was even rumored that we terminate his contract, and that wouldn't make sense at all if it was for a ban. So I think we will have a little chat about that on the second half of the podcast, which will be on Yannick on Chelsea. Make sure you just drop over and give him a follow as well. Links will these links will be in the description below. Twitter handles as well. Also Alexis' handle. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. Make sure you follow the Attacking 2 podcast. Subscribe to us, listen to all the other episodes, and watch us on YouTube. So with that being said, over to the second part of the show.